football is all about the agony and the ecstasy. That certainly was the case in the outcome of the Bundesliga when Borussia Dortmund suffered as a result of a draw on the last day.
It's immense, yeah.
And that's right. And it was enough for Bayern Munich to lift the title just when it was thought it was going in the direction of Dortmund and Bellingham. So there was huge agony in the Borussia Dortmund side of things, but ecstasy for Bayern Munich. Since then, Simon, strange goings on at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich parted company with the chief executive Oliver Kahn and the board member for sport Hassan Salihamidzic just hours after they clinched an 11th successive Bundesliga title. And now there's even talk that Thomas Tuchel could exit as well. Let's find out about that. Top German broadcaster Konstantin Eckner joins us live. Konstantin, as always, good afternoon to you. What is the strength of this? Is Tuchel really under pressure at Bayern Munich in spite of the fact they lifted the Bundesliga title?
I mean, the exit of Kahn and Salihamidzic was essentially decided before the final match day. I mean, the outcome didn't really affect the exit of the two top sporting executives, if you want to call it like that. Thomas Tuchel is still, Bayern wants to keep him. Herbert Hainer, the former chairman of Adidas and now the chairman of Bayern, he stated at an official press conference on Sunday that they want to continue working with Tuchel. Also, a few weeks ago, Uli Hoeneß, the former chairman, who will be back at Bayern in an advisory role, most likely, he arrived and visited the training grounds unannounced. He just came. I mean,
right.
It's basically he thinks it's his real estate. And he came and talked to Tuchel for 15 minutes. And from what I have gathered is that the talks were rather positive. So Thomas Tuchel enjoys the backing of Hoeneß and probably also Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who will be also back at Bayern. So the old guard is returning.
Okay, the old guard is coming back then. So I think it was Dietmar Hamann who does some work for talkSPORT was suggesting, maybe on a hearsay type basis, Konstantin, that Tuchel might be going, but you say no, he's there to stay.
No, he will most likely stay. I mean, unless there's like a falling out with the new hierarchy, but I don't think so. I mean, also it wouldn't be a good look for Tuchel to leave after 2 months effectively coaching the team in competitive or in competitions. So yeah, going back then or leaving the club, no, I don't think so. Unless really there's a falling out. He said. Tuchel, that it's just about time, maybe in a few weeks, that both sides, that the new hierarchy basically and him, that they align ideas, that they come to conclusions and come to agreements in terms of transfer strategy and so on and so forth. But I think Tuchel is there to stay, and he also wants to start an attack, playing for the Champions League title next year, because they were eliminated by Manchester City, as you can remember, in more or less dominant fashion.
Konstantin, what we want to know here is what is the strength of the speculation that Declan Rice of West Ham, after, as we hope happens, they win the Europa Conference League, that he may depart for Bayern Munich. What's the strength of this story?
The strength of the story is that Thomas Tuchel is a huge fan of Declan Rice, dating back to his time at Chelsea, and he played or had a couple of games against Declan Rice. He knows the player, and also in terms of Tuchel's tactical approach. Because right now he plays with Joshua Kimmich as the holding midfielder, but Kimmich is more of an attacking-minded midfielder. So he likes to move down the field. He likes to move the ball also down the field. And sometimes he leaves too much space behind him. And Matthijs de Ligt, who is now the chief defender at Bayern, he doesn't always have the capabilities to just cover all the space in front of him. So what Tuchel wants is a strong holding midfielder, someone who can cover space behind Musiala, Thomas Müller, so these more the attacking players, the attacking midfielders. So that's the strength of the story. Plus, Bayern are willing to invest big money into two players, into a midfielder, first and foremost, and second of all, into a real clear-cut striker with Kolomani from Eintracht Frankfurt, or maybe Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus being the major targets. So there's interest. In Declan Rice. If Bayern can really go overtake Arsenal and Chelsea in that race for Rice, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, Simon, it would make sense to an extent if he was to head out in that direction, because Bellingham left here.
Declan
Of course,
Rice.
not at the height, of course, of where Declan has got himself to, but Bellingham's done himself an enormous amount of good by playing for Borussia Dortmund, and now gets his dream move to Real Madrid.
And Jude Bellingham was 17 years of age. Declan Rice is not going to Bayern Munich. He's going to go to one of the big clubs in England to try and win the Premier League with an English club. He's got no reason to go to Bayern Munich.
No?
No. He's not going to go to Bayern Munich. A fantastic indexing and a great bit of leverage for other football clubs in England to get their act together to pay the price that West Ham may well want. But I'll be absolutely gobsmacked if an established England player that's perceived to be one of the best players in his position will be out of the Premier League playing in Germany, in a league that's particularly dominated by one football club, albeit last week it could have been different.
Yeah, but an elite club. I mean, this is Bayern Munich, who will go all out next season to lift the Champions League.
Fantastic. But there's still not the same lure to go to Bayern Munich as there will be to play for an English Premier League football club and win the Premier League with an English club. I'd be gobsmacked if he went to Bayern Munich.
Really? Yeah. I don't think I'd be gobsmacked, Constantine, because of the level of interest and the respect that Tuchel has. And he's a very, very persuasive individual.
There's always a difficult decision for a lot of players at that kind of level, and not only from England. I mean, look at Matthijs de Ligt, for instance, from Juventus, right? He was the Ajax captain at 18. Then he moved to Juventus for a huge sum of money. He didn't do that well at Juventus, but still, I think he played well under the circumstances. The team was just deteriorating with Cristiano Ronaldo at the helm, basically. But then he decided to go to Bayern. He could have gone to clubs in Spain, maybe to PSG, maybe to an Premier League side, to a top side in England. But he decided to go to Bayern because he knows he has a starting spot there. It's a club that will always play for the Champions League title. There's a club that will always lift some trophy, as you can see. I mean, even in a year where like things are almost falling apart, they still are champions and they still have something to cheer about. That might be experience some players like to have, as opposed to maybe playing for Arsenal and not lifting a trophy. However, I think I totally take Simon's point that when you're an England international and you are already established in the Premier League, that of course being attracted to Arsenal or to Chelsea, of course, it come naturally.
Yeah,
there were a few England players, a few England star players who chose against going to another Premier League club, and maybe they went to Real Madrid. When we look back at like the Michael Owen and David Beckham days, there were a few, right? But usually you don't. And Bellingham was in a different situation. He was playing in the Championship. He was a second division player still, and he saw Dortmund as the perfect, basically high level academy for like the players who will become a world. And
there's a similar thing with Jadon Sancho. And Thomas Tuchel isn't that persuasive. He couldn't persuade Todd Bowley to keep him in a job, and he couldn't persuade Romelu Lukaku to play for him. So let's not put into the factor how persuasive Tuchel can be.
What's the latest in Bellingham then, Constantine, before we leave you? Is it a matter of days before we see him in the Bernabeu being paraded by the top brass at Real Madrid?
I mean, the expectation was that he actually would be presented earlier, because some thought that when Real Madrid are being knocked out of the Champions League by Manchester City, then they will try to make a big move, right? to overshadow a little bit of the tragedy that happened at Etihad Stadium. Of course, the Bundesliga season was still going on. Dortmund were in the title race, so I mean, there was no way that like Dortmund would let Bellingham go to Real Madrid and hold up a white jersey. No, of course not. But now there's an opening, and Real Madrid will sign Bellingham. There are some questions related to Bellingham playing for England in the mid of this month, because he has like a chronic inflammation in his knee. I don't know the exact medical term, or it's very specific, but he has something that goes on has been going on for months. So he has to deal with that. Basically, like, I don't know, just resting your knee for a while. So he will play for England, but I think he's fit enough to walk around in the Bernabeu and hold up a jersey and wave to the fans.
Oh, the knee's good enough for that. Okay. Yeah. Constantine, thank you so much. Constantine Eckner with us this lunchtime.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.